Okay, example 1 says the point P on the unit circle corresponds to a real number t, and that's given. The point P is given. Find the values of the trigonometric functions at t. So we know that by this being an ordered pair, let's just draw out a sketch of what this would look like. So let's say this is a unit circle with the radius of 1, and I have the point -1/2 positive square root of 3 over 2. So let's say -1/2, and that would be about here. So that's my point P that I have on the unit circle. If I want to find the sine of t, remember that's going to be the angle here that we're referring to as being t, the angle t. So if I want to find the sine of t, go back to our definition above, which says the sine of t is equal to y. So that's just going to be the y coordinate of this point, which would be the square root of 3 over 2. Then the cosine of t would be the x coordinate of your point, since cosine is equal to x. So that would be -1/2. And then the tangent of t, y over x. So I have y, which is the square root of 3 over 2, and that's over -1/2. Okay, when we have a complex fraction like this, you could look at this as being division. If I were taking the square root of 3 over 2 and dividing it by -1/2, that would be the square root of 3 over 2 times the reciprocal, which would be -2, and we could put it over 1. 2's would divide out, so that would equal a negative square root of 3 over 1, or just negative square root of 3. So that would be your value for tangent. Always simplify these out as far as you can. So that gives us sine, cosine, and tangent. Next we need to find the reciprocal functions. So remember we said the reciprocal of sine is cosecant. So cosecant of t would be 1 over y. Or since y is a fraction, we can just take the reciprocal of this, which would be 2 over the square root of 3. Now we cannot leave a radical in the denominator, and this is called rationalizing the denominator. If I multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3, whatever the radical is here, that's what I'm going to multiply by, then I would get 2 square roots of 3 over the square root of 9, which is just 3. When you multiply the same radical times itself, then we can kind of just say it just cancels out the square root that we had. So the cosecant of t would be 2 square roots of 3 over 3. Then the secant, which would be the reciprocal of cosine, if I take the reciprocal of -1/2, that would be -2. And then the cotangent of t would be x over y. So we would have -1/2 over the square root of 3 over 2. So again, we can go through the division steps that we looked at earlier, where we would have -1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2. So we know that equals -1/2 times 2 over the square root of 3. Again, the 2's are going to divide out. That's going to give me -1 over the square root of 3. Well, I can't leave this radical in the denominator, so again I'm going to rationalize by multiplying by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. So that will give me negative square root of 3 over 3. And so this will be the cotangent of t. And I believe all the homework problems, they are going to want these exact answers. So no decimals. They do want them in exact form, in lowest form.